Appreciate every single one of y'all that's tuning in tonight. For those that are just meeting me, my name is Arnold Austin. I am a certified relationship trauma coach out of Jersey. Tonight, we want to talk a little bit about triggers. We started this conversation last night, and this is kind of a continuation of that same topic. So I won't be watching this chat over here. This chat over here is the TikTok chat because we're live on TikTok as well as YouTube. But last night we were talking about triggers. We were talking about a little bit about how triggers affect our lives. And one of the main ways that we are affected generally is that we're affected based upon, the emotional response that we have based upon the triggers. So if you're watching, you can also, like I was saying, you can watch us from YouTube down bottom. You can watch us also from TikTok. If you're on, matter of fact, go turn your YouTube on anyway, because the goal is I'm trying to do a test market to see how people or how people come to the live on YouTube, and I haven't quite gotten the handle on it or figured it out, but so we'll just keep going. But the point of the matter is, and I said the definition last night, and I'm going to go there again today. How you doing, Donna? Appreciate you being here. How you doing, Renee? Appreciate you being live in YouTube. I'm going to look at the YouTube chat because, like I said, I'm only going to be there for a short time. But when you look at trigger, a trigger represents a stimuli or an event that provokes an emotional response based upon a past experience. And I had an experience that happened today, and I'm going to share it with you real quick. And in this particular experience, I was appreciate that, Shelly. I was on the phone with someone, and this person began to tell me about the certain things that they were going through in their life, and that they had been watching my YouTube, the lives, which I didn't know because I don't. If it's a live, a lot of times I don't actually see who the individuals are after the live is over, because they'll do a notification or something down in the chat, but I just didn't see it. Long story short, I started having a conversation with the person. They're telling me certain things about events that's going on in their lives. And in the process of them telling me that, they told me a story about an individual, which I'm not sure if they knew that the relationship that I had in the past with this individual. And as they begin to tell me about different things that had happened to this person and how they had been in an accident and certain things are happening to them and certain things weren't going well and so on and so forth. When they were talking, my response, and this is why I'm talking about our emotional response. My emotional response to them concerning the individual was I had a balanced and even emotional response to what happened. In the past, I didn't have a balanced emotional response to this person because this person was part of the destruction of my family. They did a lot of dark things, and I'm not going to get into details, but they did a lot of dark things as far as with their practices and things that they did, and it was unwarranted because just because a person doesn't do maybe what you want them to do, that does not give you right to try to manipulate through a spiritual means to try to make them do something that they don't want to do, And at one point throughout this process and throughout the healing, I was very, very angry and very, very bitter with this person. And this is the only reason why I'm sharing this. And so when I heard about this individual and things that were going on in their lives, I didn't rejoice in the fact that something was going on in their lives. I didn't rejoice in the fact that there was some kind of difficulty or some kind of hardship or some kind of pain and suffering and all these things that were going on in their life. And see, this is why I'm saying the emotional response you have is important, because that emotional response you have when some kind of outside information comes to you concerning somebody or something that has happened in your past, you're not taking it on. And so it showed me that a lot of the different techniques that I had learned over the years had worked, because one of the things that happened was when I went away to a healing retreat. In the process of being away at this healing retreat, we did certain little techniques, like we would write letters to people that we felt that had done things to us and had tried to hurt us and destroy us and so on and so forth. And so in the process of writing these letters, you had to kind of pour out your heart and say what you felt about the events that had taken place. And I was more, and in the letter that I wrote, I was more offended about the things that happened to my parents than I was myself, because my parents are people that are, I say it all the time, they're very, very godly people. They're loving people. They don't do things to people. They're not, me, I'm a little different at times, but then they're in that loving and kind energy all the time. So I just thought it was very, very unjust, the things that were taking place at that when these events first transpired. But it was over a period of time. What happened was I started through this writing exercise that we did. We had to write out big long letters about what this person did, how we felt, whether it was anger, was hate, because again, we have to address part of triggers is you have to address the emotional side of what you are feeling. This is where our honesty is critical. At that point, I hated these people. I hated them. I thought that they were just evil and wicked people. And I wanted to see something happen to them. I wanted them to be hurt. I wanted them to hurt the way that they were making people that I loved hurt. And because I just thought it was unfair. And so when I got this call today and I heard the things that were going on in these people's lives, I didn't have an emotional response to it. I didn't feel joy because the things were happening, and I didn't feel happy because the things would happen. I was just like, okay, well, whatever. Because my mindset is, once I wrote that letter and I put it, we kind of threw the letter in this bonfire, because we went away to this part of it. One of the events that we did, we went away to this Indian reservation. I can't even call it a reservation, to a group. And they were teaching us and talking to us about certain things and certain of their beliefs. And part of it was, they were discussing different ways that you can release things out of your life. And so one of the things that we did was, like I said, we wrote these letters and we kind of burnt it, and we kind of you had to offer up praise, which to me was important, because you're releasing. Part of that burning was symbolizing in my mind, in all the other individuals' minds that were there, a part of a release of feeling like I need to know what's going on with these people's lives. I need to know that they're hurt, or I need to know that something bad is going on with them, which all that stuff is not important. Because if I'm using my energy towards them, then I can't use my energy, my life force energy, the energy that is in me, that is supposed to be used to allow me to create and to build and to prosper and to flourish and to, and to grow and to, become more. I'm using that energy for something that's a negative response. And this is part of why I'm saying triggers are so important, because the trigger was showing me back then that I was not in the right space. Because if something had happened to them back when this initial thing started happening, I would have been happy about it. I would have felt validated, and I would have felt justified. Oh, that needs to happen to them. They're a piece of crap. I would have had this whole dissertation about everything that happened to them and why it should happen to them and why they were bad people. But you know that you've grown when you don't no longer care, because you no longer are focusing your energy on them. Because I understand that where my focus is, where my energy is, where my attention is, that's where I'm giving away my energy if I'm giving you my focus. That's why I don't give my energy, and I say it often, to a lot of things that are going on in society. My energy is focused for me. My energy is focused for me and my family. In order for you to get from where you are to the next step, you have to take all of that life force energy. Don't use it for negativity. Don't use it for hatred. Don't use it for malice. Don't use it for getting back at anybody. Use it to focus on yourself. Use it to get the things that you deserve. And part of you getting the things that you deserve is understanding that, there will be hurtful things that happen in life. How are we going to react to it? What is the emotional response that we're going to have for these triggers? Because that's all they are. It's part of the process of waking up. Wake up. It's like an alarm clock that's hitting you. Every time somebody triggers you, it's an alarm clock within us, because the triggers represent something that's going on external that's brought to us. And then the part of it is, when it's brought to us, do we allow it inside of us? Do I allow something that someone did to come inside of me and affect me, and affect my mood, affect my actions, affect my deeds, affect my words, affect how I'm going to act from that point forward based upon something that someone else did? Come on, y'all. Do you understand the importance of this? We are taking when you start understanding your triggers, you're taking your power back. You're saying, at this point, no one else will have authority or power in my life but me. I refuse to give what is precious to me to somebody else. Yes, they did an event. They did some certain things. But you know what? I refuse to dwell on that. It's time to move on to the next step, to another place. So again, part of our triggers come to bring an awareness of things. Awareness. Am I aware? But the awareness has to be, how do I feel about this event that just took place? How do I feel about being triggered based upon this event that just took place? Because again, the trigger could be something positive, but it could also be something negative. That's why I used the example yesterday, is that if you're dating someone and you've gone to a certain restaurant every time, over a period of years, and you've dated them for an extended period of time, then you're going to have positive memories based upon that restaurant and that place that you've gone to with that person. And then maybe based upon a piece of music that you listen to, maybe you listen to Luther, maybe you listen to Maxwell, maybe you listen to, Guns N' Roses, whatever you listen to, it doesn't matter. But my point is, when you listen to that piece of music with that person, it created a memory within you. This is the thing that's important. Your triggers are going to be based upon some memory that we had based upon an event. This is why triggers are not always negative. They are positive as well as negative. The negative part comes is when there is some kind of traumatic experience that happens in connection with that event, whatever it is. So if you're going out to dinner at this restaurant over a period of time, but then one of the last times you go out to that dinner, maybe you find out that, the person that you're with is maybe having some kind of extracurricular activities with a person, with a waitress there or something. So your experience with that place no longer is going to be a positive experience. And I'm using this as an example. It's going to be a negative experience. So every time you think about that place, every time you go back to that place, it's going to be re-triggered. Every time that person's name is brought up, every time and this is part of what I'm trying to say. As long as we're in the place where that person and what they did is controlling us, then it does not give us self-control. It does not give us the dominion and the power that we should have over our own lives. I'm giving my power to another person if I'm not allowing myself to get over this thing that is being used to trigger me. So again, the trigger isn't something that's negative, or it doesn't have to be something negative. It could be something also positive. I appreciate y'all tapping the screen. Thank y'all for joining in. Thank y'all for being I appreciate every single one of y'all that are in the chat and YouTube. Appreciate the chat and TikTok. These chats are moving, and I appreciate it. And so the point is, I want to get to this real quick. Like I said, this part of these triggers is some of it is it's based upon external events, but the second part is based upon how we receive it internally. Am I receiving it internally and taking it personally? Many people say, and whenever I say a statement like this, I'm saying it's a general broad. I'm painting with a broad brush. Imagine me with a big broad brush, and I'm just painting with a broad brush. This does not apply to every woman, and this does not apply to every man. Generally, they say that women usually operate more in their emotional side than men. That's what they say. Based upon that, this is why this lesson this teaching to me is important. It's also important to men, but I'm saying it's important because the way that you emotionally activate it based upon events is going to be how people are going to perceive and look at you. I used the example yesterday. When you're out in public and you see a person that they call by that name, by a woman's name, which starts with K, and she's acting out and I want to talk to the manager and I want to see, when you see that behavior, and I'm talking about this because I actually sat down and I watched a couple of those videos a couple of days ago. And when I sat down and I watched those videos, it took me to an emotional like ups and downs. I saw everybody's part in the thing. And so what I did was I sat there and I analyzed these videos. I'm looking at, okay, I see how her husband feels because he's embarrassed. He's trying to talk to her. She's not listening. She's still just asking questions to this person that's just an employee at this company. She's basically badgering him with questions. If you know anything about questions is generally how it's you. If you know anything about sales, questions are generally the telltale sign of where you are in that proceedings. If you're the one asking the questions in any sales, you're generally the one you're kind of navigating the thing towards the way that you want. That's why questions are used. Through my study of sales, through being in sales for many, many years, it always was based upon who's asking the questions. Who's ever asking the questions is generally who's in control of that conversation. And sometimes what I found is when I'm watching those videos, not sometimes, generally the process that I found, the behavior that I find is that these people are asking specific questions. And what they're doing is they're asking those questions and they're changing little things, but they're going right back to the same question. And regardless of the answer that this employee, whether it's an airport, whether it's a hotel, whether it's wherever is giving them, that answer is not good enough for this person that's asking that question. So what ends up happening is the unrest and the unrest, and this is why I'm talking to you about triggers. The unrest in the first person gets activated into the second person who's asking, who's trying to answer this question over and over again. So this person that's already just in an uproar, their energy feeds the other person who might be calm initially, but over a period of time, by the continual asking, by the continual badgering, you're badgering the witness, so to speak, by the continual questions. What happens over a period of time? The cop, the whoever, the person that works at the desk, all of a sudden you start seeing that this person starts saying, "Look." You see a change in their mannerism. You start seeing a change in the way that their behavior, their body language. Why? Because internally, this is why I'm talking to you about that these things are not, it's an outside event, but internally what's happening inside of that other person that's being continually badgered with the same question or the same thing is being said, is that internally what happens to them is that they get in a place where they're feeling frustrated and they're feeling angry. They're starting to feel angry because they're talking, they're answering this person's question, but they're not being heard. So what happens? The person ends up getting arrested and all this chaos and craziness happens. And all because they refuse to accept the answer. It's not that they couldn't understand the answer. I knew a person that I was involved with for a number of years. This individual, the way that they would manipulate is that they would either not answer a question, they would shut down as far as not answer a question or not say anything, or they would go to the next place is that they would just ask a bunch of questions. And the thing that was so ironic about this person was very, very intelligent, book knowledge. I mean, very, very intelligent. But all of a sudden they would go to this place of, I don't understand. I don't understand what you're saying. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You're not an idiot. You do understand. You understand, and just like you understand how you're making me feel by not accepting what I'm saying, regardless of it, you want to or not. I got to accept what you're saying to an extent. If I'm giving you the answer, if I'm telling you where I'm at and what I'm feeling, regardless of if you like the answer or not, that's all I can give you is what I have. And if you don't accept it, then what did that do? That just keeps us in a confused state. Not saying that there can't be a deeper revelation. Of course there can. But it's the process of, because of not listening, because I'm not hearing, what happens is the person, they end up, there's a lot of confusion that's caused. I'm telling you, if y'all get a chance, if you see them videos, look up those videos on those Karens, any video that you want. And you're going to see that it's a big thing of people asking questions, but they're not hearing. They don't want to hear. Their energy is that they don't want to hear. So why are they asking a question if they don't actually want to hear what the answer is? Because even from a biblical place, foolish questions gender strife and arguments and debate and all that stuff. Foolish questions, they create a lot of strife and animosity between people. Instead of asking, if someone is asking something to learn something or to get a clear understanding, that's acceptable, that's understandable. But this is all part of, again, we have to understand our triggers. When I watch those videos and when I see those videos, that's why I don't watch them, is it triggers me. It triggers me because I see unfairness. I see people that are unjust. And whenever there's injustice, that's part of, I'm the fighter for justice. Justice for everybody. That's my stance. So man, I've been 18 minutes on YouTube already. But okay, so okay, so I mean, let me talk about this real quick. You know, we're gonna do. I'm almost 20 minutes on TikTok or YouTube already. So you know, we'll end the YouTube, and then what we'll do is we'll get back into the TikTok, or we'll stay in the TikTok, and then we'll